Called it. The Criterion Collection just announced the films that they'll be releasing in November of this year, and the Criterion edition of K-pop Demon Hunters is finally being released during a jam-packed month. And since that this edition of the film will have multiple discs, there's a little chance it might include the film's soundtrack on CD, kind of what they did with the release of True Stories. So they kind of see at the bottom right of the package of it includes the complete soundtrack on CD for the first time. So let's find out which films that the Criterion Collection will be releasing in November. So now on the Criterion Collection's website, and for November of this year, we have a few big titles being released. You have at least 4 new titles being put in the collection, a few 4K re-releases, a film that might have been in one of the Martin Scorsese World Cinema Project box sets, and a local BC film that is probably like the most successful film coming out of the province, with Sofia Blue Heron, which talks about an immigrant family from Hungary living in British Columbia, Canada. And there is a situation involving like the oldest son of the family, which kind of makes you think like, what's wrong with him? I did see the film when it was shown at the Viv Center like the past few months. And it also got like at least one of the audience awards at the Fair National Film Festival last year. It's great. I mean, I like it. Also kind of reminds me of my childhood in the 1990s. And interesting thing about Sophy is that apparently she was like a volunteer at the film festival. So I probably like saw her at one point when I volunteered at the film festival. I mean, she was like working in the box office, and I was doing front of house. So I mean, it's kind of interesting that apparently I saw her at some point. And yeah, apparently like she's getting a lot of attention since the film was premiered at the Toronto National Film Festival and was shown at the National Film Festival a few weeks after that. Kind of related with her, but apparently she will also like create a series in the National Film Festival this year, which yeah, but possibly might see her again at the festival. I mean, yeah. So the film will be part of the Criterion Premieres line, but first, actually, we have to the first big title that they'll be releasing in November, which I was actually the last title of a few films that we were thinking that they were going to be releasing this fall, and that film is the Academy-winning K-pop Demon Hunters, which has a Canadian connection because the film was directed by Maggie Kang, who's actually from Toronto, and yeah, I mean like the film has been released slightly more than a year ago, like on Netflix, and it was probably also like one of the surprise hits of last year, and like after that then it would be shown in theaters, which I did see the film like last January, and around the time when the film was starting to get a lot of awards during award season last year, and I mean you could say it's probably like the Frozen of this decade. Also kind of with the camera-winning song in the film, Golden. The song was so good that it kind of led to this little moment in politics.
Vote, 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 it's our moment. Gonna be voting. Gonna be voting. Gonna vote, 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 it's our moment. We're voting. Gonna be voting.
Yeah, the film was actually like spot on, kind of like about K-pop, and although there was a little debate about like what age you can actually show the film to, but I mean, because with the many problems of K-pop, but I mean, but yeah, it was a fun film as well too, and of course, for me, like listening to Golden is kind of like probably like Bobby jamming to the song. And you probably know this already, but of course my favorite member in Hunter X is Zoe. I mean, she actually like writes all their songs. I mean, also lived in the United States for a while too. I mean, apparently, I talked about this film a lot, especially during award season last year, and yeah, I'm not sure if it was like said this a lot, but apparently, like I'm not sure I'm happy with the end of the film, which but I mean, of course, they might resolve that in the sequel, which will be released in about 2 years. I mean, like, first takes a long time because this film kind of involves stop motion, and but at least it might answer some questions about which I'm probably not going to say a lot about that, but I mean, but yeah, I mean, like, first, it was probably likely that this will probably that the Criterion Collection will probably release this film on Blu-ray because apparently they release a lot of the films that they put on Netflix there. And I'm seeing the design of the packaging of the Criterion edition of the film. Apparently, like it is in a digipack. Although I was thinking that maybe it also was gonna also be in the form of a K-pop album, but although I mean, like, it does have this comic book vibe, which kind of looks great. Which on the cover of the box set, apparently you have the group Hunter X, and then also the little title you see in the film, and then I mean, and then after that, I probably then saw the film in the theaters. So, and it does look. And I probably when I saw the film for the first time, I said that they should probably have released this in theaters first before it was put on Netflix. And I mean, it does look great. I mean, I saw that. I mean, it was presented with 4K laser projection, so I mean, I'm probably able to probably see this again on Blu-ray, at least in HD. Which until we get that 4K TV, then it probably maybe see it in Dolby Vision. Now, a lot of you will probably know what the film talks about already, but for anyone who have not seen the film, here's what happens in it. Few films have taken the world by stirring quite like K-pop Demon Hunters, and a camera-winning sensation overflowing with dazzling animation, unforgettable characters, and tenaciously catchy songs. At the film's center is the chart-topping group Hunter X, whose three members, Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, have been juggling the pressures of stardom with their secret duty to shield their fans from supernatural forces, the Ramun. Their demon enemies suddenly take the form of a rival boy band, which we know is Saja Boys, and with their catchy song Soda Pop, the trio must overcome their deepest self-doubts and use their music to protect humanity. Visually, with references to Korean culture, both ancient and modern, this generation-bridging phenomenon has inspired millions of fans with its message of friendship and self-acceptance. And then, let's see over here, there's the design of what the packaging of the Criterion edition of the film looks like, which, yeah, like when you take the digipack out of the package and you kind of see apparently just a little in the film and various things related to the film, including the food that the group eats in the very beginning of the film. And then there's also a few art cards showing those of the group plus the boys and a bonus postcard, which we're not sure what's going to be on the front side of the postcard, but so this is probably like the concept art for the film, but I mean, yeah, this looks great at least, yeah. And apparently this has multiple discs, actually 3 discs, which I wonder what's going to be on the 3rd disc, because I know the 4K Blu-ray's on the 1st disc, and then there's the film and the special features on the 2nd disc, and the 3rd disc could be either maybe the sing-along version of the film, or possibly the film soundtrack, which I think they might be available on CD, but at least they're kind of including with this release. And the film is very successful that it kind of led to McDonald's collaborating with Hunter X and the Hunter X meal, which has like chicken nuggets and the Tom Yum like fries and also the dips too. And then even the Saja Boys have only had their own meal, which the also is like the breakfast meal and kind of similar to the Hunter X meal, except it also does have hash browns. And there was even a commercial for the meals where referencing the scene in the film when like both Hunter X and Saja Boys do the meet and greet, and then like, and even with the one fan who's like only with the cards, I mean like they even reference that too. So let's find out like what are the special features of the Criterion Collection edition of K-pop Demon Hunters. Of course, it's a director-approved 4K UHD Blu-ray special edition. Includes a new 4K visual master approved by the person that made the film, Maggie Kang, co-director, or also animation director Chris Aprons, with Dolby Atmos. The film presented in the Dolby Division in HDR, and 2 Blu-rays with the film and special features. But let's see what's going to be in each of those discs. Oh, it has a storyboard version of the film from the full feature like Animac with an introduction by Kang and Alphonse, a new making of documentary of the film, 2 view essays by filmmakers Tola Ramos and $20 from every frame of painting, which is, I think that's a famous show on YouTube. Okay, some lyric videos, which you can probably find on the internet. The film's preview, English letters with a different hard of hearing, and English descriptive audio. Collectible postcards featuring illustrations with artists who worked on the film. So this is more like concept art. Plus an essay by critic Heron, new cover by Amy Thompson. So it is a jam-packed release where it has the film in storybook mode, plus a new making of documentary, which probably going to interview as many of the people involved with the film, and plus a new visual essays on probably the animation of the film. Now, this was kind of hoping they were also going to put like the actual music video of Golden that's seen in the film. It's like, which apparently, because with Hunter X, I mean, they're pretty much, they're kind of like, you know, like Blackpink and Ivy at the same time, and like, don't. The music video for Golden in the film apparently might have been inspired by the music video of Ivy's I Am, which I actually did see Ivy in concert apparently a few days before I actually recorded this video, and even before that, apparently saw the music video for I Am, and I kind of saw the similarity between the two, that they're probably kind of, that might have inspired, well, the music video of the song in the film. And then there's also the song at the end of the film, which is kind of like Hunter X covering Ivy, covering the iconic pop song We Can Do This All Night. I mean, for sure I'll probably get this release. I mean, I might actually pre-order the thing actually right now. I'll probably do that later. So, on to another big television film that they'll be releasing in November. And actually, this is a film that is probably heavily debatable in the case of, like, history, conversations. And of course, that is Marie Antoinette, directed by Sofia Coppola, which, of course, she has at least one of her films actually in the collection right now with, The Virgin Suicides, which has Kirsten Dunst, and so Kirsten Dunst is in this film. And I mean, I saw the film actually when I was doing a film history class in college, where we kind of learned about like why they kind of implement like modern dialogue in historical settings, and that was probably one of the reasons why the film got some mixed reactions, because I first heard the film around the time it was released, and I kind of liked to see it, but then it took me a long time to finally see it. Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of familiar people are in this film, not just Kirsten Dunst, but also you also have Jason Schwartzman, and also Rose Byrne, and Tom Hardy as well, too, before he kind of puts on, like, Mask in his later films. And, yeah, so when it was, like, first premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, of course, when the screening ended, apparently there were a few boos in the audience, which is something that actually can happen in the film festival. And quoting the late David Lynch, yes, there will be booing in Cannes, but the film has everything you would expect in a film made by Sofia Coppola. I mean, this is like her follow-up to probably like my favorite film of all time, Lost in Translation, and so she moves from like a low-budget, kind of romantic comedy to a high-budget, like, historical drama, which present for, like, modern-day audiences, and, but it also has a score by Phoenix, which apparently is a band that probably Sofia Coppola likes. I mean, for what this film talks about, of course, but for many people who have not seen the film yet, here's what happens in Marie Antoinette. Sofia Coppola brings a candy-colored palette, a dreamy synth-pop soundtrack, and Converse high tops to 18th century Versailles for this exuberantly subversive, extravagantly stylized anti-biopic of one of history's most famous and perhaps understood figures. Kirsten Dunst portrays Marie Antoinette as a rebellious teenage princess who marries the awkward young Dauphin of France, played by Jason Schwartzman, soon to be crowned King Louis XV. Feeling isolated in a royal court rife with scandal and intrigue, Marie Antoinette defines both royalty and commoner by living like a rock star, which can work for only so long. And we know what happens in her life. And quoting a line from the film, "Let them have cake." So on the cover, then you have like Marie Antoinette standing on the little couch. You can see a little bit of her legs a bit, but that's one of the special features on the Criterion edition of the film. It has a new 4K digital restoration supervised and approved by Sofia Coppola, and director of photography lens, a core with 5.1 DTS, 18 master audio soundtrack. The film presented with a Vision HDR, a new interview with Coppola, new scene selected comedy featuring film star Kirsten Dunst, so they got her to talk about some scenes of the film. A new program featuring interviews with a co-operator KK Barlett and costume designer Mina Carano. A parody short that is made during the filming of the film, with Jason Schwartzman as Louis XV, the film's deleted scenes. The music for the theme song of the film by Phoenix 111, the film's preview, and stuff for the different hard of hearing, plus an essay by critic Claire Marie Healy, new cover by Tori Heron. So it does have a few new special features with some of the key people involved, and I'll probably get this released at some point, but I wonder when they're going to be releasing probably the 4K of Lost in Translation, because originally Kino Lorre was going to release that, but some because they weren't able to get Sofia Coppola to kind of work on the 4K remaster of the film, that apparently they had to drop the release. So, and because of this, apologies, maybe the Criterion Collection might actually release that. So if that happens, I'm probably going to get that when it's released. And now kind of related to David Lynch, but another film that he made is now finally in the collection, and with this film being put in the collection, there's at least only one film left that they have to put in the collection, which is likely going to happen maybe next few months, maybe next year. Of course, with the Stray Story, but right now they're finally releasing Wild at Heart, which I did see this film apparently recently when the Pacific Cinema did a retrospective of the films of David Lynch, and I mean, it was an interesting film. But also a few months earlier, apparently I did see the cinematographer of the film, who also did the cinematography on Blue Velvet, and he talked about one scene in Wild at Heart where when the two main people played in the film, they played Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern, were at a gas station, and then they're stealing gas while the owner of the gas station, who's a blind man, apparently was just snapping in front of them, and the cinematographer of the film apparently described making that scene. But also what happens near the end of the scene where they're actually in the middle of the road, and they try to get this one shot where Nicolas Cage's character does a backflip, and as the sun is setting, and remember they had to only do one take to do that, so they had to rehearse it a few times to get the shot. But yeah, I mean the film does involve about an Elvis impersonator, and then he apparently meets this woman, and then apparently they get into a crime spree after that, which it's kind of an interesting film, maybe at least one of David's straightforward films, though it does kind of have things you would expect from a David Lynch. Yeah, for anyone who didn't see the film, what happens in it. This whole world is wild at heart and weird on top. The story adaptation of the novel by Barry Guilford, David Lynch pushes vision of nightmarish Americana into new realms of delirious excess and feverish romanticism. Burning with libido abandon, Laura Dern and Nicolas Cage are Lula and Sailor, outlaw lovers whose reckless passion sends them on the run to a menacing south, where their dream of freedom collides with a vortex of violence and depravity. Blending all-American iconography ranging from Elvis to The Wizard of Oz into a twisted southern Gothic soap opera and featuring memorable supporting turns by William Dafoe and Diane Ladd, the film conjures a dark dream of danger, desire, and fantasy that stands as perhaps the most disturbingly perverse love story of the 1990s. Oh yeah, another film collaborator with David Lynch, Isabella Rossellini is also in the film too, and yeah, I mean, of course, one of the common themes in the films of David Lynch was also kind of The Wizard of Oz, which there's a straight up reference to it. Well, near the very end of the film, but I mean, you'll find out what happens when you see it. And actually, we have the packaging of the film, which for most of David Lynch's films in the collection, apparently they are put in digipacks. So apparently the digipack in the inside of the packaging of the film apparently references the opening scene in the film, a bit of the booklet, and there's the Blu-rays. So let's find out what are the special features of the Criterion Collection of Wild at Heart, which it's very likely this is not a director-approved special edition, because, as we probably know, David Lynch passed away apparently last year, and he might not have got involved with the restoration of it. I mean, he got involved with the restoration of the Straight Story. So, but I mean, if he was still alive, then probably all of his films could have got restored. But in this case, apparently his director of photography for some of his films, Frederick Ames, apparently supervised the restoration on this film. So So this is a 4K UHD special edition, which includes a new 4K restoration of the unrated international version, supervised director of photography Frederick Ems, and approved by the David Lynch estate with 2.0 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. I think the version I saw at the Pacific Cinema might have been the US version. So I mean, this might actually be like an actual first time watch, seeing what the film would actually look like. Alternative 5.1 surround mix, newly created from the original 35mm DME Manic tracks by re-recorded mixer Dean Hurley. One 4K UHD disc, the film presents Dolby Vision HDR, and one Blu-ray with the features. A new introduction by film program critic Dennis Lynch, who's probably also going to talk about David Lynch in this minute. Archival documentaries featuring interviews with Ems, director David Lynch, film stars Nicolas Cage, Laura Dern, Willem Dafoe, Diane Ladd, Isabel Rossellini, novelist Barry Gifford, editor Duan Dunham, filmmaker Bernardo Bertolucci, and other members of the cast and crew. Deleted scenes and outtakes with a new 5.1 surround mix by Hurley. Another excerpt from the autobiography that David Lynch wrote, Room to Dream, from 2018, co-authored with critic Christine McKenna, which is frequent in all of the releases of his films. Excerpts from a 1988 episode of Cinema de Notre Temps with Lynch. Oh, actually, a music video that Lynch directed for Chris Isaac's Wicked Games, English subtitles with a deaf and hard of hearing, plus an excerpt interview with Lynch, filmmaker and writer Chris Rodney's book, Lynch on Lynch, and an introduction by Rodney. New cover by Fred Davis, based on the retro poster. So it doesn't have a lot of new special features other than an introduction kind of on the film and on David Lynch, but I mean, I'll probably see this film again at some point. But if David Lynch was still alive, then there might have been more new special features, but I mean... And then we actually have this other big title, which some people were saying that Arrow Video was going to release this, but actually, at least right now, apparently Criterion is going to be releasing it, although they might still release it in England, but I mean, of course, North America, it'll be Criterion. I heard of this space film, but I'm kind of not sure what happens in it, and also what's the historical significance of this film, but let's find out what happens in it. An awe-inspiring salute to human achievement and the wonder of the unknown, this monument account of the space race celebrates the pioneering pilots who took mankind beyond the bounds of Earth. From the quest that test pilot Chuck Yeager undertakes to break the sound barrier to the epochal voyages of the 7 Mercury astronauts, including Alan Shepard and John Glenn, the red stuff vividly details the triumphs and clashes of personality in America's burgeoning space program. Fusing astonishing practical effects with NASA archival footage to images of cosmic majesty, director Philip Kaufman reveals the combination of courage, competition, and family behind America's launch into orbit. Apparently this talks about the Mercury mission. So this might be actually before Apollo, I think, but I mean, let's find out what the special features of the Criterion edition of the film. It has a new 4K digital restoration supervised and approved by the director of photography of the film, Caleb Deschanel, with 70mm 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack, an alternative 2.0 and 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. The film presented with Dolby Vision HDR, archival interview excerpts with the person that made the film, Philip Kaufman, from the Academy Film Archives Visual History Program. New programs on the film, visual effects, sound and editing, archival programs on the film, including Realizing the Right Stuff, T20 Years and Counting, and The Real Men with the Right Stuff. Cited scene commentaries featuring Kaufman members of the cast and crew, deleted scenes, the film's preview, English sub with a deaf and hard of hearing, plus an essay by critic Michael Segrau, new cover by Gregory Marches. So the special features of the Criterion edition of The Right Stuff is mainly going to focus on probably the production of the film. In the case of, let's say, probably of the visual effects, as well as the editing and the sound design, but I mean, this is a release we'll probably see at some point. And then we have a film that might have been in one of the Martin Scorsese World Cinema Project box sets, or this might be the first time that a film that is in Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project that is being released by itself for the first time, with Sergei Parajanov's Shadow of Forgotten Ancestors. So let's find out what happens in this film. A towering achievement of world cinema, Sergei Parajanov's modernist landmark fuses folkloric traditions, animistic mysticism, and hallucinatory visual invention. edited from a 1911 novella by Ukrainian writer Mikhail Kostolubinsky, Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors follows Ivanko, a young hostile peasant who experiences both the depths of grief and glimmers of hope as he attempts to move beyond his first love. Mariechka, played by an internal Larissa Kodolinchikova, step in the early atmosphere of the Carpathian Mountains and featuring kinetic, radiantly colorful cinematography by Luri Ilyenko and a collage-like experimental soundtrack. Parajanata's film is a certainly many work of art. So let's. If this is also in one of the Martin Scorsese What's My Project boxes. No, actually, this is being released in the collection for the first time. So let's find out what are the special features. It has a new 4K digital restoration by the Film Foundation's World Cinema Project with uncompressed manual soundtrack. The film not presented with HDR. A new audio comment featuring historian Joshua First. An introduction by the Film Foundation's World Cinema Project founder Martin Scorsese, which I mean he does this for all the releases related with his World Cinema Project. A new interview with film star Larissa Kodochenikova, a feature documentary by Ali Kanov on Parajanov called The Lilac Wind of Parajanov, experimental short film by Materios Vartanov about director Sergei Parajanov's son called Shadow Sir, New English subtitle translation, plus an essay by critic Carmen Gray, new cover by Jason Hardy. This is probably maybe like a key film primarily in Ukrainian cinema, so I'll probably see this at some point. And the rest of the film that they'll be releasing in November are 4K releases, and one of them is, of course, the film Heron and Maude by Hal Ashby, which, I mean, another film that he made that is in the collection is Being There, with starring Peter Sellers. But with Heron and Maude, I mean, this film talks about death, where you have this, like, young boy seeing this elderly woman, and then they kind of spend time after that, and it also has songs by Cat Stevens. Now, since this is a 4K release, it'll probably have the same special features as the previous releases of the film, which it has a 4K digital restoration. But the film presented in Dolby Vision HDR. It also has like an audio commentary by Hal Ashby, biographer Nick Dawson, and producer Charles B. Mulvaney. Illustrated audio extras from seminars by Ashby and by producer Colin Higgins. Interview with the person who made the song in the film, Cat Stevens, English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, plus an essay by film critic Mac Slorstez, 1971 New York Times profile actor Ruth Gordon, and two extended interviews, one from 1997 with film star Bud Cort and cinematographer John Alonzo, and one from 2001 with as a producer Mildred Lewis. And then we also have another Francois Truffaut film, which I think it was like might be coming to Blu-ray for the first time, and also. And that would be Shoot the Piano Player, which is one of the films that I heard of. I haven't seen it, but I've yet to see. So let's see about the 4K release of this film. It has a new 4K digital restoration with the film not presented with HDR, but it does also have like an audio comedy featuring film scholars Peter Brunette and Insdorf. Introduction by filmmaker Noah Baumbach, which, I mean, he was heavily influenced by the French New Wave. I mean, like, one of the films he made, Francis Ha was probably inspired by the films of Francois Truffaut. Interviews with cinematographer Ralph Coutard, film stars Charles Aznavour and Marie Dubois, and Francois Truffaut collaborator Suzanne Schiffman. Interviews with Truffaut on the film and the source novel. An illustrated audio essay called The Music of George Deleu. An episode of Observation on Film Art on the film with Jeff Smith. You can see on the Criterion channel. Dubois screen test, film's preview, plus an essay by film critic Ken Jones, interview with Truffaut, and reflecting with the director on Aznavour and Dubois. So yeah, this is actually finally coming to Blu-ray and also having a 4K release as well too. So I'm probably gonna see this at some point. And that is all the films that the Criterion Collection will be releasing in November of this year, and it is a jam-packed month. I mean, like I might actually be pre-ordering one of these films probably immediately, which would be the Criterion edition of K-pop Demon Hunters. And then some of the other films that were released, I'll probably get like probably in the flash sales. We get the Criterion edition of Marie Antoinette, and probably the Criterion edition of Wild at Heart at some point. And yeah, I mean, like, now we have with 1 month left in the year. I mean, wonder what Christmas films that they'll probably be releasing to end the year. And we might get more big titles from the Criterion Collection, kind of ending a very big year for them. I mean, like, you could probably say that Criterion is So back now. But your thoughts on the films that the Criterion Collection will be releasing in November this year. You can put your thoughts in the comments below. And if you join me looking through like which films they'll be releasing in November this year, you can probably like the video or subscribe to my channel. I'll talk more about. This really with the Criterion Collection, everything with film, and with that, I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.